Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. I am very excited for today's beer. Barrel aged. Oh, for goodness. Courtesy of 5E Bourbon Microbrasserie from Quebec, Canada. This is their Queen's Park. This is a 750 of Stout Imperial. I was gonna try to say that in a horrible accent. Russian Imperial Stout, aged in bourbon barrels. Comes courtesy of the brewery. My friend Jacob. He sent me off a box of beer, and this was in there. And it was like a kind of oblong box, and there was a bunch of cans, but there was a cardboard box inside the box, and I was like, I kind of think that might be a bottle. And lo and behold, we have this. I want a bourbon barrel aged beer right now. I love Russian Imperial Stouts. Let's get on with the show. Besides what I've already said, which is the name, Queen's Park, from 5E Bourbon. Proudly brewed at 5 Principal in Alamir, Quebec, extra strong beer. 10% alcohol by volume. And that's it. We get nothing else. You get the back of the label here. Let's go this way. Nice little seaporty thing in Queen's Park. I assume that's Queen Park in the area they're in. Done and done. Doesn't say anything about barrel. Doesn't say anything about this, that, and the other thing. We're just diving into it. So let's cut into this wax. Let's see what kind of wax they're using. Ooh, I think they're using... I like this. Wax is a very, very important thing in beer. I don't think breweries really spend enough time, or they think wax is wax. Like, there's, like, asshole wax, and then there's wax that doesn't work at all. This is, like, super stiff wax, but cuttable. And I think that it makes a good seal, but also it works and you can get it off. You know? So we'll see what's what. Let's see if we can just grab a hold of it now. Come on. Maybe I spoke too soon. Anyway. I know, this isn't fun. Actually, that's the fun part. Fun-y part is that I think a lot of people think this is funny to watch me struggle, which is why I don't pre-cut. I know a lot of YouTube people and beer reviewers like pre-cut. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. Maybe it's not the best wax in the world. But why would I deprive you of me struggling to cut wax off things? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense in my brain. Fatty snifter style. That's how we roll. Okay. Looks nice. It doesn't look like hyper, ultra crazy thick, but it has this really beautiful... that fits good too. Fat in first. I don't know why you guys watch. It has this really beautiful head, like almost like a dessert-like head, kind of going on. I just cleaned in here, like from head to toe in this place, so excuse my cleanings. So yeah, label-wise, dig on it. Simple to the point, or awesome linen label, dig on it. As far as that goes, listen, it looks like Russian Imperial Stout. It looks like a bourbon barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout. It looks like a well-done version of a barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Because you look at that and go, okay, it's a stout, sure. But just something about it looks a little bit more kind of saucy, a little sexy. But the fact that it's bourbon barrel-aged and it retains this beautiful kind of creamy edges to it, because you're probably not going to be able to see the inside of that beer, but it's not full-on foam, but it definitely looks the part, and to retain that head and have it come back that easily with a swirl, I think is a really nice thing, especially when it comes to bourbon barrel aged beer. And I don't talk about the barrel, don't talk about, more importantly, how long it spent time in there. We'll figure it out. I don't know. So it looks the part of a stout / bourbon barrel aged stout. What does the nose know? Yeah, this is bourbon barrel aged, I can tell you that much. Good God. If this isn't good, I'm going to punch myself in the face. Man, it's a lot of barrel, but in the most beautiful way. And by that I mean the barrel. It's not huge on spirit. You tell it's a bourbon, but it's not like the super hot bourbon just ripping into your nose. It's a lot of barrel, like a lot of barrel character. You're talking about chocolate, vanilla, marshmallow, all those things. That barrel charriness that I love to talk about so much, where it's like toasted, roasty, shave it off, kind of burnt barrel char. That's definitely in there. Coconut. And that is the end all be all. Like, honestly, it's like you give me the coconut from the barrel, you got me. You got me. And you're getting that in here. Now, the beer's definitely in there. You're definitely getting a nice, rich, sweet, it comes off sweeter, and I think that has a lot to do with the spirit, kind of Imperial Stout. I don't get a big bittering component on this beer. Again, I don't know how old it is. Not that you're going to get a huge, like, overt bittering on a nose. It's definitely a taste kind of thing, but usually there's a precursor to bittering. And it just smells like it has this kind of just more base stoutiness to it rather than Russian Imperial Stout. Could be totally wrong. Again, it could be hidden by all those other components. But what I'm getting here is something that smells pretty damn fantastic. Hopefully it follows on the taste, but yeah, its barrel is leading the way. The actual barrel itself, followed by probably a tug-of-war between the spirit and the beer itself. A roasted toastiness, nothing overtly bittering from that. The spirit is nice, has nice kind of, I don't even say like a cherry bourbon, Kentucky bourbon, just a whiskey, more whiskey than bourbon for me. Nothing too hot in this beer whatsoever. It's 10%, so it's not a high ABV beer to begin with, but it really is that barrel showing through. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's delicious. There's something that I didn't even get in the nose in here. I really have to kind of break down. Yeah, there's almost like an added thing to this. Almost tastes like... This is really good. But there's something I need to figure out in my brain. There's maple syrup involved. I don't know, but it's not like it's like a barrel aged, how do I put it? It's not like they added maple syrup to this. This tastes like somebody made a whiskey and then made maple syrup or aged maple syrup in a whiskey barrel, and then either then put a beer in it or did whiskey again then put a beer in it, to where, you know what I mean, it's still more whiskey barrel than anything else, but there's this cool kind of, I'm getting this maple syrup component, and it's not crazy over the top. It's not like a breakfast stout kind of thing going on. But there's something in here that is very... Maybe it's just Canada. Canada just smells like maple syrup, I guess. That's my assumption. They're plastic money and golden loony coins. This is very tasty. Mouthfeel is almost like porter-esque as far as just lushness. It's not like super thick, like For Florida Sea thick. It has this kind of fluffy creaminess to it. There is a roastiness to it, and there is a toastiness to it, and there is a bittering to it. Is it a Russian Imperial Stout? That might be my biggest kind of like, let's nitpick the shit out of this beer, but I don't think it makes any sense nor matters to do that. It'd be a lower bittering level of Russian Imperial Stout. It would be Courage level bittering, which is proper, as opposed to Old Rasputin, which is over the top kind of bittering. So I'm not going to sit here and kind of legislate whether or not it's a Russian Imperial Stout, but it's kind of dancing on the line what I think most people would say a Russian Imperial Stout is. But that doesn't make the beer any less delicious. It really is a really cool, like, porter, fluffy, creamy, porter doppelbock level, kind of creamy mouthfeel to it. With this nice roasty malt component, a little bit of bittering, nothing too crazy. And then it's just this battle between the sweet of the beer, the sweet of the spirit, and the perceptual sweetness of what the barrel's giving you. Because you're not getting a huge kind of charry component, over-the-top charry component from the barrel. It's still there. But it's more, a little bit more sweeter. It is that vanilla, is that marshmallow, is that coconut. Along with the spirit. Now, they say bourbon barrel here. It does come off more like bourbon. I was going to say it's more whiskey to me, but it definitely comes off more like bourbon. So it's kind of like fighting between those components. So it's almost like the mouthfeel and the bittering is their own thing. And it's just the sweetness of the perceptual sweetness, because I keep wanting to say perceptual sweetness because of the barrel components, because they're not actually sweet, but they're making you think they're sweet because of how they present themselves inside of the beer. You know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you do. If you don't, that's why we're here. We're learning about beer. Anyway, it's that infighting between those two to see who will win. Who wins? I don't know. Oh, no, I do know. We win. We win when we drink these kind of beers. This is really good. This is really good. I'm starting to get a little bit kind of like self-conscious because now I'm 3 beers deep. Not tonight, but 3 reviews deep of 5 Baron, and every beer has been absolutely bonkers stellar. And I always feel weird about that. I always feel personally weird. Like, I'm like, they can't all be that great. You can't just say nice things. But I calls them as I sees them. And this is really delicious. Is it exactly what I expected based off a label? No. Like I said, I got this weird kind of like echo. More and more I drink it, it's not really there. This echo of this residual sweetness that reminds me of maple syrup. Again, it's not like a maple syrup added thing. It's very much kind of like, oh, this barrel was hit with maple syrup prior to being used for this beer kind of thing. It adds a really cool layer, a really cool component to the beer, which I think kind of sets it apart from a lot of the stuff that I've had as of late, or for a while. But the core of the beer, the actual beer itself, is quite nice. A little skosh less bittering, at least perceptionally, than what most people would expect from Russian Imperial Stout. When you marry it with a barrel, and it just comes off as really, like, creepily drinkable too. Yeah, 10%, not super high in ABV, but it's delicious. It really is. I don't know what else to say. I think this is a fantastic beer. I think this brewery is doing, for how young it is, you know, not being around for more than a couple years, is doing some really great things. And, you know, I'm only, you know, a couple beers into the box. I've gotten beer from Jacob from his brewery before. But this box just seems next level for me. You know, at least so far, you know, the Kolsch, the Pilsner. Now this. I'm a fan. Let's put it that way. What else? Am I missing anything, or I covered all my bases? Mouthfeel fluffy, creamy, porter-esque. Nice roasty, toasty base beer component. Just stopping short of what I would call Russian Imperial Stout, but again, you're talking about a barrel. It loses a little bit of its kind of chutzpah, so it kind of makes sense. And this really cool infighting between all these sweet components. Not overly sweet. It's a sweet beer. It's a 10% barrel-aged stout. Obviously, it's going to be sweet. But it's not like an over-the-top kind of sweetness, and it's just you have that kind of battle back and forth between the malt sweetness of the beer, the sweetness of the spirit, and the perceptual sweetness of the barrel. This is one of the better barrel-aged beers I've had. It's like, yes. Mount Rushmore status. Yes. Value and availability. No idea. Hopefully people clue me in on all those things. Let's see what's what. I think my volume is way too low in this. That sucks. I'll have to bump it up. Anyway, as I speak louder, Price and availability, don't know. And leave you with, if you like what we like this. If you like barrel-aged stouts. If you like breakfast stouts, but you just want the absolute slightest touch of maple, like, again, I don't think that's here, but for some reason I'm getting that in my brain, so I'm just going to mention it. 5D Baron. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this beer? I really want to know your experiences with this actual beer itself. Have you had it? Have you had it a bunch of times? Have you had it one time? Have you had this year's? Have they done it before? I don't know. All that fun stuff down there. So hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of barrel-aged goodness right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.